Chapter 1: The world revolves around me. I woke up to the sound of footsteps outside my suite. Good. At least my servants knew how to walk softly. If I could hear them too clearly, it meant they were doing a sloppy job. And if they were sloppy with something as basic as walking, how could I trust them with my breakfast? I stretched out across the silk sheets before ringing the bell on my nightstand. A few seconds later, the door opened and there he was. My shadow. My furniture with legs. My so-called bodyguard. Kai, do you know what time it is? I drawled, dragging out his name like it bored me to even say it. He didn't answer as usual. Just stood there with his blank expression, his hands folded behind his back, cold as stone. I asked you a question. What time is it? I reminded him. 7, he said. 7? I said I wanted breakfast at 6:30. Do you know what happens to my mood when I eat half an hour late? I groaned into my pillow. Kai didn't blink. No. Exactly. You don't know because you never pay attention. I snapped. I threw back my covers and stood up, letting the silk robe drape over my shoulders. It's ruined. My whole day. Do you take responsibility for that? He tilted his head, which I supposed counted as acknowledgement. It irritated me. Everything about him irritated me. That blank stare, that cold tone, the way he never flinched no matter what I said or did. He was supposed to be a beta, but he didn't act like one at all. Bring me my slippers, I ordered. He walked across the room, picked them up, and placed them neatly at my feet. I stared at him. You could have knelt down to put them on me. What are you, lazy? Silence. I clicked my tongue. You know, Kai, other bodyguards would be grateful to serve me. They'd be honored to help me with something as simple as slippers. But you act like you're above it all. Do you want them or not? His voice was low, clipped, and carried the faintest edge. Anyone else might have missed it, but I didn't. My lips curled into a smirk. Finally, a crack in the ice. I leaned forward, lowering my voice. Careful. Was that emotion I just heard? Don't tell me the robot knows how to get annoyed. He didn't answer. Of course. He never did. I stepped into the slippers myself, grumbling loudly just so he'd hear me. Then I walked to the mirror and inspected my reflection. Flawless, as always. My black hair was perfectly tousled, not a strand out of place. My face, handsome enough to make anyone jealous. And my scent, faint, refined alpha pheromones that lingered in the air like the most expensive cologne. I didn't even have to try. Don't just stand there. Tell the kitchen I want pancakes. Blueberry. No, strawberry. No, actually, both. And coffee. Not too hot. Not too cold. Perfect, I said, running a hand through my hair. Kai inclined his head and started toward the door. Wait, you carry the tray up yourself. I don't want some clumsy servant spilling syrup on my table. Got it. I snapped my fingers. Yes. I threw myself down on the couch, grabbing a pillow and hugging it against my chest. This was the problem with my life. Everyone was too obedient, too boring, too nothing. Even Kai, with his perfect posture and cold eyes, refused to give me what I really wanted. Some reaction. I thought about last week when I demanded he spar with me in the training room. I'd swung at him over and over until my arms hurt, but he just blocked everything without breaking a sweat. Not even one punch had landed. And afterward, he'd stood there while I panted like an idiot, not even smug, just neutral. You're supposed to protect me, not humiliate me, I'd accused. I didn't humiliate you, he'd said, but he had, by not letting me win. By never letting me win. The door opened again. Kai walked in, balancing a tray perfectly, not a drop out of place. He set it down in front of me. Your breakfast. I eyed the pancakes. They looked fluffy enough. Too fluffy, even. He probably did it just to shut me up. Fine, acceptable. I muttered, stabbing a piece with my fork. Kai said nothing. I slammed my fork down. Do you enjoy this? Watching me eat while you stand there like a statue. I don't think about it, he replied. That's the problem. You don't think. You don't feel. You're not even human, are you? I shot up, pointing at him. He raised an eyebrow. Am I supposed to argue with that? My lips parted. For a second, I had nothing to say. Then I huffed, plopped back down, and shoved another bite of pancake into my mouth. I hate you, I grumbled through the food. He didn't answer, but I thought I saw it, the tiniest flicker in his eyes, like he found the whole scene ridiculous. Chapter 2: The Silent Shadow. If there was one thing worse than being ignored, it was being ignored by someone who was supposed to protect me. Kai followed me everywhere. To school, to the gym, to boring family dinners where my father pretended to care about me, and even to the bathroom door. Yes, the bathroom door. He claimed it was protocol. I called it creepy. But when I told him that, he just gave me that flat, expressionless look that made me want to punch a wall. That morning, I strutted into the private training hall, tossing my towel over my shoulder like I was stepping onto a runway instead of a gym mat. Kai was, of course, 3 steps behind me, quiet as a shadow. Always 3 steps. Never 2, never 4. The man was like a robot with legs. Do you ever get tired of being glued to me? Like, do you have dreams? Hobbies? Secret hobbies? Please don't say reading. If you say reading, I'll throw a dumbbell at your head. I asked, kicking off my slippers. I don't dream, he said. I spun around, squinting at him. You mean you don't remember your dreams? Or you're admitting you're not human and literally don't dream? He tilted his head. Does it matter? Yes, it matters. I don't want a soulless ghost following me everywhere. If you're going to babysit me for the rest of my life, I need proof you're not some kind of android prototype my father bought at a secret auction. I snapped. Silence. His silence was louder than words. I grabbed a wooden practice sword from the rack and thrust it at him. Fine. If you won't talk, spar with me again. This time I'll win. He raised an eyebrow. We both know you won't. I hated that voice. Calm, certain, like he was just stating the weather. You're supposed to say, "Oh no, young master. You're amazing. I'm terrified." You're supposed to grovel and let me win. That's how this works. I mocked, holding the sword with both hands. That's not how training works, he said, and drew his own sword from the rack. I charged at him with a yell, swinging down with all the grace of a drunken cat. He blocked easily. His movements were fluid, precise, like he'd been born holding a weapon. My arms shook with the impact while his didn't even flinch. Stop holding back, I demanded. I'm not. Liar. I swung again, faster this time. He deflected with one hand, bored. The sheer disrespect burned through me. Take me seriously, I shouted. I am, he said, and parried with a flick of his wrist that sent my sword flying across the room, clattered to the floor in shame. I stood there, breathing hard, glaring at him. He wasn't even sweating, not one hair out of place. He looked like he'd just stepped out of a catalog. You're doing this on purpose, making me look bad. I pointed at him with a trembling finger. You make yourself look bad, he replied, voice level. Excuse me? You don't practice. You don't listen. You swing until you're tired and then blame me when you fail. If you want me to take you seriously, act serious. His words sliced sharper than his sword. My chest tightened. I hated him. I hated his honesty, his blankness, his refusal to let me be the hero. I turned away quickly so he wouldn't see my face. You're fired. I don't work for you. I said you're fired. I'll tell my father to get rid of you. Replace you with someone better. Someone who actually listens to me. I snapped again, stomping over to pick up my sword. Kai didn't even react. Not a twitch. Just stared at me with those ice-cold eyes, like he already knew my threat was empty. I hated that look. The one that reminded me how little control I actually had. Throwing the sword back onto the rack, I stormed out of the training hall. Kai followed 3 steps behind. Always 3 steps. The hallway was long, lined with portraits of ancestors I couldn't care less about. All those smug faces staring down at me. My father said I had potential. What he meant was I had his money. As I walked, I tried to shake off the sting of Kai's words. Why did they matter? He was just a bodyguard. A nobody. He didn't matter. And yet, they stuck. They dug under my skin, sharp and irritating. You know, you could at least pretend to like me, I said, glancing back at him. I don't dislike you, he said. I blinked. That's the nicest thing you've ever said to me. I wasn't trying to be nice, he added. Of course you weren't. God forbid you show human emotions. I muttered, hugging my towel against my chest. We reached the doors to my suite. I pushed them open and stepped inside. He remained at the threshold like a sentinel, hands behind his back, gaze fixed somewhere past me. You can come in, you know, it's not like I'm going to bite, I said, kicking off my shoes. No response. I flopped onto the couch with a groan, covering my face with a pillow. I swear, Kai, one of these days, I'm going to make you break. You'll laugh or cry or something. And when that day comes, I'll know I finally won. I peeked out from behind the pillow. For a heartbeat, just one, I thought I saw his lips twitch, almost a smile. But when I blinked, it was gone. Chapter 3: The Fall from Grace. I hated car rides. Not because the car itself wasn't luxurious. Please, my family's limo was top of the line, smooth enough to make clouds jealous. No, I hated them because Kai was always there, sitting across from me with his arms crossed like he was attending my funeral. You know, normal bodyguards talk to their bosses. They ask about their day. They maybe, I don't know, smile once in their lives. Ever thought of trying that? I said, leaning forward. No, he replied without looking at me. I sprawled across the seat like a king on his throne, stretching my legs toward him just to be annoying. Massage my feet. His gaze flicked down, then back up, cold and dismissive. No. Yes, I shot back. No, I smirked. Then I'll tell my father you're neglecting your duties. Bodyguard rule number 1. Cater to the heir's whims. That's not a rule. It is when I say it is. His lips pressed into a line. Victory. Sort of. At least I'd gotten him to react. I was about to press further when the car jolted suddenly. I yelped and grabbed the seatbelt. What the hell was that? The driver's voice crackled from the intercom. Apologies, young master. The road ahead seems blocked. Blocked? On my road? My family's private route to the estate? Unacceptable. I leaned toward the tinted window and frowned. Through the glass, I could see a massive delivery truck jackknife it across both lanes. Men in uniforms were waving their arms, trying to direct traffic. Can't you idiots do anything right? Go around them. We don't wait, I muttered, tapping the glass. Before anyone could answer, a terrible screech split the air. Tires. Metal grinding. Another truck barreled from the opposite direction, brakes screaming. Rio? Kai's voice cut through the chaos just as the world tilted sideways. The impact slammed me against the door. Glass shattered. The limo spun, weightless for a terrifying heartbeat, before crashing down again. My head snapped forward, stars exploding behind my eyes. I thought I screamed. Or maybe Kai did. Or maybe no one did. For a moment, everything went silent. Too silent. Then, a blinding white light. Not the kind you see in cheesy near-death movies, but sharp and hot, like fire bursting inside my chest. My body felt torn in two, dragged in opposite directions. My skin burned, my bones stretched, my blood boiled. And then, nothing. When I opened my eyes, I was lying on the pavement. My body ached everywhere. But when I tried to push myself up, something felt off. Wrong. Too heavy. Too strong. Stay down, a voice said. My voice. My head jerked up. Standing above me was me. My face. My body. My clothes. No, I croaked. Except it wasn't my voice. It was deeper, steadier. Cold. I froze. My hands, they weren't mine. Bigger, rougher. My reflection stared back at me from a shard of glass on the ground, and my stomach plummeted. It was Kai's face. What the hell? I scrambled back, clutching my chest. Calm down, my voice said again. But it wasn't me. It was Kai, inside my body. Don't you dare tell me to calm down, I shouted, hearing Kai's voice come out of my throat. It was horrifying. Wrong. Kai, inside my body, knelt in front of me, my face his eyes. cool, unshaken. It seems we've switched. No kidding. You stole my body. I snapped, tugging at his hair. Felt wrong, too coarse. Not silky like mine. I didn't steal anything. Then give it back. I don't know how. Panic clawed at me. I tried to push myself, away, but the strength in Kai's body startled me. Muscles responded like they'd been waiting to be used, coiled and powerful. For once, my shove actually made him stumble. I gasped. Oh my God. I'm strong. Kai's eyes narrowed. Don't abuse it. I laughed, hysterical, half-crazed. Don't abuse it, he says. Do you have any idea what this means? I can finally make you suffer. Rio. His tone was sharp. A warning. Coming from my own mouth, it was unsettling. Focus. No. You're in my body. My perfect, gorgeous, rich alpha body. And I'm stuck in. I looked down at Kai's clothes, scuffed from the crash. This beta thing. Ugh. It smells like iron and cheap cologne. My lips parted. Excuse me? You'll follow my rules. You'll eat what I eat, wear what I wear, and do what I do. If you can't, you'll starve. I gawked at him like he'd grown horns. This was madness. Utter betrayal. So what, you're making me play pretend as a bodyguard? That's ridiculous. Yes, you'll learn, he said. I don't want to learn. I don't need to learn. I'm perfect the way I am. I snapped. Rio. He stepped closer, and suddenly the air changed. His body, responded to the alpha pheromones rolling off him. My knees went weak. What the hell? I stammered, clutching the desk. Sit, he commanded, and to my absolute horror I sat. Instantly, like a trained dog, my face burned hot. Rage and humiliation surged through me. You used pheromones on me. On me. Yes, now you understand how it feels, he said coldly. I wanted to scream, cry, throw the sandwich at his smug, stolen face. But my body betrayed me, trembling from the forced submission. I hated it. I hated him. I hate you, I whispered, my voice breaking. His expression didn't change, but I thought I saw something in my own eyes. A flicker of pity. Eat, he said again, softer this time. And like an idiot, I unwrapped the sandwich and took a bite. The rest of the day was a nightmare. First, he handed me Kai's uniform. Gray slacks, plain black shirt. Nothing stylish, nothing tailored, nothing imported. I put it on and felt like I'd been stripped of my soul. Then he dragged me onto the subway. The subway. I had never stepped foot in one in my life. The smell alone nearly killed me. Sweat, metal, too many humans crammed together. And no one moved out of my way. No one lowered their gaze. They shoved past me like I was ordinary. Do something. I hissed at Kai, clinging to the pole as the train lurched. No, this is normal, he said. Normal. I'm being touched by strangers. I wailed. Now you know what it feels like. I glared at him, but the words hit harder than I wanted to admit. Later, he made me run errands. Errands. Carrying bags of groceries like some servant. My arms ached. My back hurt. People bumped into me and didn't even apologize. When I finally collapsed onto a bench, sweaty and miserable, Kai, wearing my perfect body, stood over me, composed and graceful, not a hair out of place. You did well, he said. I wanted to throw the groceries at his head. Instead, I panted, glaring up at him. I hate this. I hate you. I hate. Good. Hate it. Learn from it. He cut me off. I opened my mouth to snap back, but nothing came out, because deep down I knew he was serious. This wasn't some prank. This wasn't temporary humiliation. This was my new reality. And for the first time in my life, I realized I wasn't the one holding the leash anymore. Chapter 5: The New Rules. By the second day, I was convinced this was hell. Actual hell. Not the fire and pitchfork kind. No, this was worse. This was the kind of hell where the devil wears my face, walks around like he owns the world, and then forces me to carry grocery bags until my arms nearly fall off. Kai sat across from me at the tiny kitchen table of his apartment. His apartment. I couldn't believe people actually live like this. The table wobbled if you breathed on it. The wallpaper peeled. And the fridge? Practically empty. The horror. He poured himself tea. Out of my hands. My hands looked wrong doing something so plain. You need to adjust. As long as we're stuck like this, you'll live as me. You'll follow my routine. He said calmly. I threw myself dramatically across the chair. Routine? Do you mean chores? Yes. I nearly choked on air. Do I look like someone who does chores? You don't look like anything right now. You're not Rio anymore. You're Kai. He said. The words stabbed me. I am Rio. I'm the heir. The alpha. You can't just strip me of that. I shouted. I didn't strip you of anything, he said, setting the teacup down. You lost it. The moment we switched, so did our positions. You're a beta now. Act like it. I slammed my fists on the table, rattling the teacup. I refuse. I'm not going to crawl around like some nobody just because you say so. His eyes narrowed. And then, like a wave crashing over me, I felt it again. The weight, the suffocating pressure of alpha pheromones filling the room. My lungs seized. My body trembled. Sit properly, he commanded. And damn it, I obeyed. Instantly. Back straight. Hands folded on my lap. Eyes lowered like I was some obedient pet. My cheeks burned with rage and shame. You bastard, I whispered. This is what you've done to others. You never noticed because they never fought back. But now you'll understand. He said, voice cold but quiet. I wanted to scream at him, to tear the smug expression off his face. But I couldn't. My body wouldn't let me. The pheromones faded, leaving me shaky and hollow. I hate you, I spat. You've said that 3 times now. Eat your food, he replied. Food. Ha. Food in Kai's world was tragic. That night's dinner was instant noodles, the kind you buy for a couple of coins. The smell alone nearly killed me. You expect me to eat this? I poked the bowl with my chopsticks like it might bite me. Yes. Where's the steak? The foie gras? The imported truffles? Here. He tapped the bowl. This is not truffles. This is poverty in a cup. I wailed. Eat, he repeated, tone sharp. I tried one bite. Salty. Overcooked. Disgusting. And yet, my stomach, traitor that it was, grumbled like a starving animal. So I kept eating, sulking through every mouthful. Kai watched me the whole time. My face, my body, sitting there across from me like he'd always belonged in it. You're too comfortable. You like this, don't you? Being me, ordering me around. I snapped between bites. He didn't deny it. That made it worse. Later, he gave me chores. Actual chores. Laundry, he said, pointing to a basket overflowing with clothes. I gawked at it like it was a monster. Laundry? Do you think I've ever touched laundry in my life? Then it's time you learned. I tried. I really did. But I poured too much detergent. The machine shook like an earthquake. And by the end, the entire floor was covered in bubbles. Kai came in, pinched the bridge of his nose. My nose, and sighed. You're impossible. I kicked at the bubbles. This is your fault. Who lives like this? Machines should come with servants. Machines are servants, he said. I threw a wet sock at him. By midnight, I collapsed onto the futon, exhausted in ways I didn't know were possible. My muscles screamed. My pride was in shambles. And Kai, standing over me in my flawless body, looked maddeningly calm. You'll do better tomorrow, he said. I glared at him through half-lidded eyes. Tomorrow? I'm not surviving tonight. You will. I turned my face into the pillow. You're a tyrant. A cruel, heartless tyrant. I hope you choke on your stupid pheromones. For once I thought I saw it, just a flicker. My lips on his face twitching like he was fighting a smile. And the terrifying part? Even in my fury, even in my humiliation, something about that made my chest tighten. Chapter 6, Brat Meets Reality. If hell had levels, I was now in the deepest one. Yesterday had been bad. Today was worse. Kai had decided it was time I learned basic skills. I thought he meant something harmless, like tying shoelaces. No, he meant cooking. Cooking. I stood in his pathetic excuse of a kitchen, glaring at the chipped counter, the squeaky faucet, and the sad collection of pots and pans. It looked like a war zone before I even touched anything. "You expect me to cook?" I asked, holding up a frying pan like it was diseased. "Yes," Kai said, in my voice, with my calm. My face looked criminally good saying it, too. "This is abuse, cruel and unusual punishment," I declared. "No, it's real life," he replied. I threw the pan onto the stove with a clang. "Fine, but if I die, it's on you. Step 1, eggs. Easy, right? Wrong." I cracked the first egg too hard, half the shell plopping into the pan. The second slipped out of my hand and splattered onto the counter. The third I dropped directly on the floor. "Perfect, we're making scrambled shells with a side of salmonella," I muttered. Kai, the bastard, leaned against the wall watching me like I was the entertainment for the evening. "You're supposed to cook them in oil," he said. "I know that," I snapped, fumbling with the bottle. I poured too much, the pan hissed violently, and hot oil popped at me like it was personally offended. "Ah, it's attacking me," I yelped, ducking behind the counter. Kai sighed. My sigh. "Spoiled brat. Then cook it yourself," I shouted. "No, this is your lesson." I peeked at him from the counter edge. "You're enjoying this?" "Yes," I sputtered. You admitted it. You sadist." By the time the eggs were done, burnt black on one side, raw goo on the other, I was sweating like I'd run a marathon. I dumped the mess onto a plate and shoved it toward him. "There, eat it." "No," he said. My jaw dropped. "No? I slaved over this meal. It's inedible." "You're inedible." I snapped back, though even I wasn't sure what that meant. He calmly slid the plate away. "Eat it yourself." I stared at the smoking abomination. My stomach growled. Damn it all. I picked up the fork and forced a bite into my mouth. It was disgusting. Bitter, slimy, crunchy with eggshell. I gagged but swallowed, glaring at him through watery eyes. "Happy? I'm poisoned." "You'll live," he said smoothly. Next came cleaning. Kai handed me a broom. I held it at arm's length like it was cursed. "What is this?" "A peasant's spear. It's for sweeping." I blinked at him. "We have robots for that." "Not here." He was serious. He expected me to sweep. Me, the heir who'd never bent down to pick up so much as a coin. Still, I tried. I really did. But I swept too hard and crashed the broom into the lamp. The lamp fell over and shattered. Kai pinched the bridge of his nose, my nose, and muttered, "Unbelievable. This thing attacked me." "The lamp attacked you?" he asked. "Yes. And it won," I shouted. Later, he made me buy groceries, which meant handling money, actual bills and coins. I didn't even know what the denominations were. At the register, the cashier stared at me like I was insane while I held up a bill. "Is this 1 or 10? Or, what's a coin even worth?" The cashier sighed. Kai stepped in and paid for everything with ease. Back outside, he shoved the bags at me. "Carry them." I nearly fell over. "These weigh more than me." "No, they don't." "They do emotionally," I snapped, wobbling down the street under the crushing weight of vegetables. People stared at me, not in awe, not in admiration, just normally, like I was no one, like I didn't matter. The sting was worse than the groceries. By the time we got back to his apartment, I collapsed on the futon again, drenched in sweat, arms aching, dignity dead. Kai set the bags down neatly, not even winded. He looked at me with my own damn face and said, "You did well." I wanted to scream, to hit him, to demand my life back. Instead, I just lay there, chest heaving, eyes burning with something I refused to call tears. Don't say that," I muttered into the pillow. "Why not?" "Because it sounds like you're proud of me," I said, my voice cracking. He was quiet. For once, I didn't dare look up. Chapter 7, The Crack in the Mirror. By the end of that week, I wasn't just tired. I was hollow. I'd burned my hands on hot oil, killed 2 lamps with the broom, nearly drowned the laundry room in bubbles, and been humiliated at the grocery store for not knowing what a coin was worth. Every mistake stuck to me like mud I couldn't shake off. And Kai, damn him, watched it all with my calm, perfect face. That night, he made me try cooking again. Rice this time. Simple, he'd said. I stared at the pot like it was plotting against me. I don't trust it. It's too quiet. Add water, he instructed. How much? Until it looks right. That's not a measurement. I snapped, dumping in too much. When the rice turned into soggy soup, I flung the spoon across the counter. See, this isn't food. This is an insult. Kai sighed. You're hopeless. Something inside me snapped. Stop saying that. Stop acting like I'm worthless. I shouted, my voice raw. The room went silent. My chest heaved. I hadn't meant to sound so broken. Kai tilted his head. I never said worthless. You didn't have to, you think it. Every time I fail, you look at me like I'm useless. And maybe I am. Maybe I've always been. I muttered, fists trembling at my sides. The words tumbled out before I could stop them. I wanted to shove them back in, pretend I hadn't said them, but they hung in the air like poison. Kai didn't move, didn't speak, just watched me. I sank onto the floor, my knees weak. I don't get it. Why is everything so hard? People do this every day, right? Cooking, cleaning, buying groceries. But I can't. I can't do any of it. I was supposed to be an alpha, strong, untouchable, but I can't even cook rice. I whispered. My throat burned. My eyes stung. Damn it all, I was crying. Actual tears slipped down my face, and I hated it. Hated how small I felt. Pathetic, I muttered at myself. I expected him to agree, to twist the knife. Instead, he crouched in front of me. My own hands reached out, his now, and pressed a towel into mine. Wipe your face, he said softly. I froze. The towel was warm. His tone wasn't sharp or mocking. It was steady, quiet, almost gentle. I wiped my cheeks, sniffling like a child. Don't be nice to me. Why not? Because it's confusing, you're supposed to hate me. I bullied you. I made your life hell. You should want me to suffer, I admitted, choking on the words. I don't hate you, I want you to learn, he interrupted. His gaze, my eyes, locked onto mine. Calm, honest, terrifying. The words lodged in my chest, heavy and impossible to shake. We sat there in silence for a long time. Me, slumped on the floor, face blotchy with tears. Him steady and still in my perfect body. Finally, I broke the quiet. I don't know who I am without people bowing to me. All my life, everyone just gave in. No one said no. No one pushed back. I thought that made me strong. But now I feel like nothing. My voice cracked like thin glass. He studied me for a moment, then said, Then this is the first time you've ever been honest with yourself. I hated how much those words hurt, and yet, how much I wanted them to be true. That night, I lay on the futon, staring at the ceiling. My eyes were puffy from crying. My body ached from chores. My pride was shattered. And yet, in the quiet, I realized something terrifying. For the first time in my life, I didn't want to go back. Not yet, because if I did, I'd slip right into that gilded cage again. Untouchable, adored, hollow. Here, in this awful little apartment, failing at rice and breaking lamps, for the first time, I felt real. And the worst part? The one who made me feel that way was Kai. The beta I used to torment. The beta who now held all the power. The beta who looked at me. Not with hatred, not with fear, but with something else I couldn't name. And I was terrified of what that meant. Chapter 8, The World I Never Saw. I thought I'd done my suffering quota already. Chores, humiliation, crying in front of Kai. Enough tragedy for a lifetime. But apparently my tormentor wasn't satisfied. Get dressed, he ordered the next morning. I was halfway through whining about how I deserved a royal breakfast in bed when he shoved a plain hoodie at me. A hoodie, as in something you'd find in a clearance bin. I'm not wearing this. Will you do it? Or do I need to use my pheromones? That's it. I didn't want to feel that suffocating feeling again. So I took it. We took the bus. Yes, the bus. A giant, rattling tin can packed with strangers who all smelled like exhaustion and fried food. I sat stiff as a board, clutching the pole like it was diseased. This is barbaric, I muttered. Kai's lips twitched, but he didn't answer. The first stop was a market. Not the shiny, glass-walled malls I was used to, but an open-air street crammed with stalls, peeling paint, and vendors yelling over each other. The air was thick with smoke, spices, and desperation. Ugh! It smells like poverty, I gagged, covering my nose. A woman selling vegetables glared at me. Kai leaned down, his voice cold. Say that again, and you'll work here for a week. I shut up. We walked through narrow aisles where people haggled over bruised tomatoes like their lives depended on it. Kids tugged at their mother's sleeves, begging for sweets they couldn't have. An old man pushed a cart full of wilted greens, his back bent nearly in half. And then I saw her, a girl about 12, clothes patched and threadbare, standing behind a stall with stacks of second-hand shoes. She wasn't calling out like the others. She just stood there, eyes sharp, watching people pass. When someone stopped, she bowed too quickly, smiling like her life hinged on it. I don't know why that hit me so hard. Maybe because she was about the age I'd been when I threw my first tantrum over not getting a limited edition watch. My throat tightened. Why are you showing me this? I muttered. Kai didn't look at me. Because you've never seen it. Next, he dragged me to a construction site. Men in hard hats moved like machines, sweat dripping down their necks. Their hands were blistered, their clothes stained, their bodies bent under the weight of steel beams. One of them laughed. A deep, raw laugh that echoed across the site. And suddenly I realized they weren't doing this for fun. They were breaking their backs for families, for rent, for food. How much do they get paid? I asked, my voice small. Not enough, Kai said. By the time the sun dipped, we ended up at a tiny ramen stall tucked between buildings. The owner, an old man with tired eyes, served steaming bowls to workers who collapsed onto the stools like they'd fought wars. I slurped my noodles in silence, watching them eat with quiet gratitude. Every drop mattered, and I used to throw away meals if the garnish wasn't symmetrical. The realization stabbed me in the gut. Kai set down his chopsticks and looked straight at me. Do you understand now? I wanted to snap back, to say something cutting, something arrogant, something real-like. But the words wouldn't come. Instead, I whispered, They work so hard, for so little, and I mocked people like this, didn't I? He didn't answer. He didn't have to. I knew. I'd stomped on men like those construction workers, treating them as tools. I'd sneered at shopkeepers, calling them beneath me. I'd probably destroyed someone's day just for the fun of it. The noodles blurred in my vision. I blinked fast, pretending it was steam. Why didn't anyone tell me? Because they were all too scared of you, Kai said. His words cut sharper than any blade. We rode the bus home in silence. The city lights flickered outside the window, neon and cheap. A little boy dozed against his mother's shoulder, clutching a toy car with chipped paint. I stared at him for a long time. He looked so peaceful, and I hated myself for thinking it, but I envied him. His life was hard, yes, but it was real. Mine had been gold-plated lies. I pressed my forehead against the glass. Kai! He turned, waiting. I think I finally get it. I was lucky. Too lucky. But I used that luck to crush people. People like them. I whispered. My voice cracked, shame weighing down every word. For the first time, I didn't see mockery in his eyes. I saw something else. Approval. Chapter 9, The Taste of Humility. I woke up the next morning with a pit in my stomach. Not from hunger. Not from Kai's awful futon. But from something worse, memory. Memories from previous day. It made me sick. Of course, I didn't say any of that. I'm Rio. I don't get sick from guilt. No. I strutted out of the bedroom like a king in exile, tossing my hair dramatically. Kai was waiting, arms crossed. My arms. He really had no right looking that intimidating in my body. Morning, he said. Don't morning me, I had nightmares. Your fault. I snapped. He raised an eyebrow. Nightmares? Yeah, about being forced to ride public transportation again. Honestly, you've traumatized me. I huffed. His stare didn't budge. That infuriating calm stare. I waved a hand. Fine, yes, I thought about yesterday. Happy? His silence was answer enough. We ended up at a park later that day. Not the polished kind with fountains and imported marble benches, but one tucked between concrete buildings, paint peeling, swings creaking in the wind. Kids played anyway. Their laughter rang out, bright and careless, even as their shoes had holes and their clothes hung loose. Why'd you drag me here? What's next, an orphanage tour? Maybe a cemetery so I can cry properly. Kai's voice was steady. You still think this is a joke? It's not. Okay, maybe I joke when I don't know what else to do. All right? Happy? I bit my lip. My chest tightened. He studied me like he was dissecting me. I hated it. You've lived your whole life surrounded by people bowing to you. No one's ever told you no. No one's ever made you face the consequences of what you do, he said. I laughed sharply, but it sounded hollow. Consequences? I was the golden boy, Kai. People tripped over themselves to give me what I wanted. That's the problem. The words landed like a punch. I stared at the kids running across the patchy grass. One of them fell, scraped his knee. His mother rushed over, hugged him tight, kissed the wound like it mattered. Did matter. Everything here mattered. And I'd spent years treating people like chess pieces. I swallowed hard. Do you hate me for it? For the first time, Kai's expression softened. I don't hate you. I pity you. I flinched. Somehow that was worse. Later, we passed a row of food stalls. The smell of grilled meat wafted through the air, making my stomach grumble. A man behind the counter was shouting prices, sweat dripping down his neck as he flipped skewers. On impulse, I blurted, I want one. Kai handed me a bill. Then buy it. I froze. What? You heard me. Buy it. With respect. Respect? Me? For a street vendor? But I wanted the skewer. Badly. So I shuffled up to the stall like I was walking to my execution. Hello, I muttered. One, skewer. Please. The man looked at me like I was an alien, but he handed it over. His hand was rough, calloused, not soft like mine. Thank you, I stammered. His eyes widened. Then slowly he smiled. Something inside me twisted. All my life, people had smiled at me because they had to. But this was different. When I turned back, Kai was watching me with the faintest curve to his lips. Don't say it, I warned, biting into the skewer. He didn't, but I could hear it anyway. See, you can do better. That night, as I lay on the futon, staring at the ceiling, I whispered into the dark. Maybe I don't hate this version of me. Chapter 10, The Weight of His Pheromones. I thought I was finally making progress. Sure, I'd been traumatized by bus rides, ramen stalls, and children who somehow looked happier with nothing than I'd ever been with everything. But hey, I'd bought a street skewer like a civilized human being. That had to count for something, right? So why did Kai look like he was about to murder me that night? We were in the apartment again. I was sprawled dramatically on the futon, trying to act casual while my head spun with guilt-flavored thoughts. Kai leaned against the wall, my wall, arms crossed, gaze pinning me like I was a bug in a display case. You've been learning, he said. Finally. Praise. I sat up straighter, smirking. Of course I have. I'm brilliant. Faster learner than anyone you've ever met. His eyes narrowed. But you're still dodging. I blinked. Dodging what? I did everything you told me to. I even said thank you to a street vendor. Do you know how humiliating that was? Humiliating? That was respect, Rio. Something you've never given anyone. His voice dropped, sharp as glass. I winced. My instinct was to snap back, to laugh, to insult, to throw my pride around like armor. But my chest felt too heavy. Kai pushed off the wall, walking closer. My body tensed. There was something in his stride, something dangerous like a predator closing in. You think you're changing, but you're still hiding behind arrogance. You haven't learned submission, he said. Submission? I'm not a dog, Kai. I laughed nervously. He stopped right in front of me. My back hit the futon. His shadow fell over me, and suddenly I wasn't laughing anymore. Submission, not obedience out of fear. Not because you're the heir. Submission because you trust someone to guide you, to protect you, to keep you from destroying yourself and others. He repeated. I swallowed hard. That's ridiculous. I don't submit to anyone. His lips curved into the faintest, cruelest smile. Then let's test that. And then, I felt it. A surge of pressure in the air, thick and heady, slamming into me like a wave. His pheromones, alpha dominance, raw and unfiltered, crawled over my skin, into my lungs, down to my bones. My body froze, trembling against the futon. No, stop, I gasped, clutching the sheets. My instincts betrayed me. Every nerve screamed at me to lower my head, to bare my throat, to yield. The spoiled, arrogant Rio inside me clawed desperately for control, but my body, his body obeyed him. Kai's eyes locked on mine, cold, sharp, unrelenting. You've never felt this, have you? Real dominance, not people pretending, not servants bowing because of your father's money. This is what it means to be alpha. I hate you, I hissed through clenched teeth, but my neck tilted, exposing skin. My pulse thundered with humiliation. Kai leaned closer, his breath hot against my ear. No, you hate yourself, for never earning the power you flaunted. The words cut deeper than his pheromones. My pride shattered, and for the first time, I whispered the truth. I don't know how. Silence stretched between us. His pheromones pulsed, then softened, wrapping instead of crushing. Warmth replaced suffocation. My shaking eased, though my heart still raced like a cornered animal. Then learn with me, he murmured. I squeezed my eyes shut. I wanted to fight him, to scream, to claw back the upper hand. But another part of me, small, buried, desperate, wanted exactly what he said. Someone to catch me before I drowned in my own arrogance. You bastard, you're enjoying this, I whispered. His chuckle rumbled against my skin. Maybe. My face burned. My body ached. And yet, for the first time, I didn't feel like the world was mine to control. For the first time, I felt safe not controlling anything at all. When he finally pulled back, the absence of his pheromones left me trembling, breathless, and hollow. Kai looked down at me, expression unreadable. Now you understand. I stared at him, chest heaving, pride shattered. I did understand, and it terrified me more than anything. Chapter 11: A Crack in the Armor. I refused to look at him the next morning. Absolutely refused. Rio, the golden heir, alpha, terror of my entire high school, had been pinned to a futon and reduced to a trembling mess because of pheromones. I mean, pheromones. Really? I was supposed to be immune to that sort of thing. Yet there I was, curling like some obedient puppy. The humiliation alone should have killed me. So no. No eye contact. No conversation. If I didn't acknowledge it, maybe it hadn't happened. Eat, Kai said, sliding a bowl of rice across the table. I glared at it like it had personally insulted me. I don't eat pity offerings. It's breakfast. It's a reminder of my defeat. It's food, Rio. I slammed my chopsticks down. I hope you choke on your own smugness one day. His lips twitched, almost a smile, but he didn't take the bait, which only made me more furious. We ended up walking outside afterward. The air was cool, carrying the scent of wet concrete from last night's rain. I trailed behind him, sulking, while he moved with that same maddening calm. Finally, I exploded. You think you're so great, don't you? Just because you waved my alpha power in my face. Suddenly you're the teacher and I'm the student. Kai glanced over his shoulder. Aren't you? I nearly tripped. Excuse me? You asked me to stop, but part of you didn't want me to. That's why you let go. Why you trusted me even when you didn't realize it. He said. My face went hot. Trusted? I was suffocating. That was not trust. He stopped walking, turned, and stepped closer until I had to tilt my head back to meet my own eyes in his borrowed body. You didn't suffocate, you calmed down. For the first time since I've known you, you stopped fighting everything, he said. I froze, because he wasn't wrong, and that made me hate him even more. That night, I tossed and turned on the futon, cursing into the pillow. Why did my chest ache every time I thought of him leaning over me? Why did my stupid body remember the warmth of his presence more than the humiliation of bowing my neck? Ugh, stop. Don't you dare be attracted to him, Rio. He's your bodyguard. He's supposed to be invisible furniture. I groaned, rolling onto my back. Not someone who saw through me. Not someone who made me feel safe. I sat up, clutching my hair. We are not going there. I hate him. I hate him. Talking to yourself again? I yelped. Kai's voice came from the doorway. He leaned against the frame, arms folded, face unreadable. You! Don't sneak up on me. I snapped, cheeks burning. He arched a brow. You were yelling. I thought you were in pain. I am in pain. Emotional pain. Because of you. Instead of apologizing like any sane person would, he stepped into the room and crouched beside the futon. His eyes, my eyes, technically locked onto mine. Then stop fighting me. My breath caught. For a moment, the world narrowed to the warmth of his gaze and the memory of his dominance pressing against me. My chest tightened. My throat went dry. And before I could stop myself, I whispered, "What if I can't?" His expression softened. Just a fraction. Enough to make me feel like I was drowning. Then let me help you, he said. I shoved him away, burying my face in the blanket. You're the worst. Don't say things like that. It's unfair. I heard his low chuckle as he stood. Sleep, Rio. We'll talk tomorrow. The door clicked shut. I didn't hate him. Not anymore. And that realization terrified me more than anything his pheromones ever could. Chapter 12. Too close. I swore the universe had it out for me. 1 second, the sky was just gray. The next, it was as if some divine sadist up there decided to dump the Pacific Ocean on my head. This is ridiculous. I look like a drowned cat. I shouted, holding my hands over my hair as sheets of rain soaked me. My designer shirt clung to my chest, heavy and disgusting. Kai, of course, was calm as ever, pulling me under the awning of a closed shop. His shirt stuck to him too, but instead of looking pathetic, he looked, nope, not finishing that thought. Stop moving, you'll catch a cold, he said, wringing water from his sleeves. I scoffed. Alphas don't catch colds. Did you forget you are in my body? And I'm a beta. The rain wasn't stopping. If anything, it got heavier, hammering the roof above us like a drum. I hugged myself against the chill, shivering before I could stop it. And that's when he did it. Kai stepped closer, so close his body heat cut through the wet chill. His arm brushed mine. My first instinct was to snap at him, make a scene, scream that I didn't need him. But the warmth was too good, too steady. My body leaned before my pride could stop it. I hated myself for it. You're shivering, he murmured. I am not. My teeth chattered immediately, betraying me. His lips twitched, like he was holding back laughter. Stubborn. I'm resilient. There's a difference. I corrected, lifting my chin. You're spoiled. I glared up at him. You're insufferable. Our eyes locked. The sound of rain filled the silence, deafening and soft all at once. My chest felt tight. His face. My face was only inches away, and all I could think was how unfair it was that he wore it better than I ever did. I turned my head quickly, pretending to focus on the storm, but my heart refused to calm down. Chapter 13. The kiss I couldn't escape. I hated small towns. Everyone stared. Every shopkeeper smiled like they knew me, even though they didn't. And the food stalls smelled too good, like some cruel trick to remind me that not every meal came plated in porcelain and served with gold cutlery. Kai led me through the crowded street, weaving between people with irritating ease. I followed, scowling, hands shoved deep in my borrowed jacket pockets. Slow down, I snapped. You're keeping up, he said without looking back. Barely. My shoes are ruined. My dignity is ruined. And don't even get me started on my hair. Your hair looks fine. I actually stopped walking. What did you just say? He turned, confusion flickering across my face. His face. Your hair looks fine. Better messy, honestly. My chest stuttered. Better messy? Who says that? Who tells someone like me? The perfect heir, groomed to within an inch of my life. That messy suits me. I snapped my jaw shut before something embarrassing could slip out, then shoved past him down the street. You're delusional. But my ears were burning the whole way. Later, after a long day of trudging around real life, we ended up on a quiet bridge. The sun was dipping low, painting the river in orange and pink. People were laughing on the banks, kids throwing pebbles, a couple sharing snacks on a bench. I leaned against the railing, staring down at the rippling water. For once, I didn't have the energy to complain. This is what you wanted to show me, huh? I muttered. The world outside golden cages. Kai stood beside me, arms crossed, eyes on the horizon. Do you hate it? I hesitated. The truth was tangled in my throat. I don't hate it, but I don't belong here either. I stick out like a sore thumb. Everyone probably sees me and thinks I'm human, he interrupted. I blinked up at him. What? They see you as human, not an heir, not an alpha. Just a boy standing on a bridge at sunset. My chest tightened. I wanted to laugh at him, mock him, say something cutting to restore my balance. But the words wouldn't come. All I could do was stare at him. And then it happened. The crowd noise faded. The breeze stilled. He looked at me and the world tilted. My breath caught, my throat dry. Before I could stop myself, I leaned forward. Just a fraction. Just enough to close the unbearable distance. And he met me halfway. Our lips brushed. Brief, electric, clumsy. It wasn't soft or practiced. It was too fast, too hot, like a dam breaking. I pulled back instantly, wide-eyed, heart hammering against my ribs. Oh my God! I whispered. We just know. That did not happen. Kai didn't chase me, didn't push. He just stood there, calm, steady, infuriating as always. It happened, he said. I grabbed the railing with both hands. Leaning so far over the river, I considered throwing myself in just to escape. My cheeks were on fire, my chest a storm. You can't just kiss me like that. I sputtered. You kissed me first. My voice cracked. Silence crashed over us, heavier than the rushing water below. I couldn't look at him. If I did, I'd crumble. Finally, I muttered, You're the worst thing that's ever happened to me. But my voice shook, and we both knew I didn't mean it. When we walked back under the darkening sky, our shoulders brushed once, and I didn't pull away. Chapter 14, Pretending It Didn't Happen. If anyone asks, it didn't happen. The kiss? A delusion. A heatstroke hallucination brought on by too much walking and too little air conditioning. Nothing more. At least, that's what I told myself the entire night. Over and over. Like some pathetic mantra. The problem was, every time I closed my eyes, I felt it again. The brush of his lips. The way the world had gone quiet. The terrifying, unbearable relief in my chest. Like I'd been holding my breath my whole life and finally let it go. I hated it. I hated him. I hated me most of all. So, naturally, I decided the best course of action was to pretend it had never happened. The next morning, I threw myself into my role with the kind of dedication only a spoiled heir could manage. Breakfast? Kai asked, holding out a bowl of steaming porridge from the inn's kitchen. Do I look like someone who eats porridge? What am I? A peasant? You ate 3 bowls last night. That was survival, desperate times, desperate measures. Don't confuse necessity with preference. I snapped. He didn't argue. Just set the bowl on the table and sat across from me, eating in silence. I stabbed at my portion with the spoon, sulking. Why wasn't he bringing it up? Why wasn't he teasing me, mocking me, rubbing it in? That's what he always did. That's what I would have done. Instead, he just acted like nothing happened. Which, of course, made me want to scream. We set out again, walking along the dirt road toward another town. My legs ached, my shoes were still damp, and my mood was steadily sinking toward murder. I kept stealing glances at him, waiting for something. Comment. A hint that he remembered last night. But Kai walked calmly, hands in his pockets, face unreadable. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. So, about yesterday, I blurted. He glanced at me, just a glance. What about it? My heart jumped. You know what I mean, he shrugged. If you're talking about the kiss, I'm not forcing you to think about it. You can't just say it out loud like that. My voice cracked. Kai's lips twitched, like he was holding back a laugh. Would you rather I pretend it didn't happen? Yes. No. I don't know. I threw my hands up. We walked in silence after that, but my cheeks burned hotter than the sun overhead. By the time we reached the next town, I was exhausted. Physically, emotionally, existentially. We checked into another shabby inn, and I collapsed onto the futon, covering my face with my arms. Kai sat on the other side of the room, unpacking with maddening calm. Why are you like this? I groaned into the pillow. Like what? So calm. Normal. I kissed you. You kissed me back. This is supposed to be, I don't know, messy. Why? He asked. I peeked out from under my arm. His expression was unreadable again, but his eyes were steady, warm, patient. Because that's how this works. That's how we work. You push, I pull. You fight, I fight harder. That's the rhythm. That's us. I muttered. He didn't answer right away, just watched me, and the silence stretched until my heart beat so loudly I thought it would break the futon. Finally, he said, maybe it doesn't have to be a fight anymore. I froze. He stood, crossed the room, and crouched down so we were eye level. My breath caught. He didn't touch me, didn't lean in, just stayed close enough that I felt the weight of him. You don't have to pretend, Rio, he said. I wanted to deny it. I wanted to scream, laugh, push him away. But all I could do was whisper, I'm not pretending. He gave me the smallest smile. Not mocking, not victorious, just gentle. And that somehow was worse, because I realized then that I was doomed. Completely, utterly doomed. Chapter 15. The kiss that changed everything. Couldn't sleep. All night, I tossed and turned, glaring at the ceiling. The memory of his words, his calm eyes, his unbearable patience. They pressed against my skull, louder than any nightmare. Maybe it doesn't have to be a fight anymore. What was I supposed to do with that? Kai. Damn him, he was breaking me. By dawn, I couldn't take it anymore. I shoved the blanket aside and stormed outside. The street was quiet, the air cool with the bite of morning. I leaned against the inn's wooden railing, dragging both hands through my hair. That's when his voice came. You're up early. I jumped, spun. There he was, standing like he belonged in the misty light, arms crossed, calm as always. Don't sneak up on me. I snapped, too sharp, too loud. What are you, a ghost? Not the last time I checked, he said. I rolled my eyes, but my chest tightened at the sight of him. He looked steady, strong, everything I wasn't. We stood in silence for a long time, the air heavy between us. I blurted, why didn't you fight back? He tilted his head. Against what? Me. My voice cracked. All these years, I tormented you, pushed you, treated you like, my throat closed. And you just took it. Every damn time. Why? He studied me quietly, then said, because I knew you weren't as strong as you wanted everyone to believe. The words hit like a fist to the gut. I barked a laugh, bitter and sharp. You're insane. I was the heir, the alpha. I had everything. Exactly. And yet you were the loneliest person I'd ever met. He stepped closer, eyes steady. My chest cracked open. I wanted to deny it, scream at him, run. Instead, I whispered, you should hate me. I don't. Why not? He held my gaze unflinching. Because you're more than what you were taught to be. And because, despite everything, he cut himself off, took a breath. Because you're you. The air left my lungs in a rush. My throat burned, my eyes stung, and suddenly the world felt too big, too bright. And before I could stop myself, I closed the distance. I kissed him. This time it wasn't clumsy or accidental. It was desperate, fierce, like throwing myself off a cliff and hoping he'd catch me at the bottom. His lips were warm, steady, grounding against mine. For a moment, there was no world, no past, no golden cage, just us. Then, the ground shuddered. My vision blurred. Heat surged through me, pulling, twisting, dragging. I stumbled back, gasping, clutching at my chest as the world spun. When it settled, I realized something horrifying. I was staring at my own body. Kai's eyes, in my face, blinked at me, then widened. He touched his own chest, then looked at me. We switched back. My knees went weak. I grabbed the railing, heart hammering. My body, my voice, my hands. I was me again. And yet, I didn't feel like the same spoiled heir I'd been. Couldn't. Not after everything. I looked at him, at Kai in his own skin again, strong and solid. Relief flooded me so sharply my chest ached. So, I guess the universe thinks we're done playing Freaky Friday. I croaked, trying to cover the shake in my voice. He smiled. Maybe it thinks you've learned what you needed to. I laughed, real, unguarded, shaky. Yeah, maybe I did. The truth sat heavy on my tongue. I didn't want to say it, but for once I didn't want to hide either. I don't hate you, I said softly. I know. And my chest squeezed. I think He reached out, gently placing a hand over mine on the railing. His warmth seeped into me, steady, grounding. You don't have to say it yet, I'll wait, he said, and somehow that made me fall even harder. Chapter 16, A Different Kind of Heir. If someone had told me a month ago that I'd be sitting in the family estate study actually reading a stack of reports, I would have laughed in their face. Me, the guy who used to throw accounting books at servants just to watch them scramble. The guy who once ordered his driver to circle the block 10 times because I wasn't ready to get out of the car. The heir who thought real life was something that happened to other people somewhere far away. And yet, there I was, skimming reports, circling things with a pen, even scribbling down notes. Notes. I didn't even know I knew how to use a pen. Your handwriting's atrocious, Kai said from the corner. I didn't even look up. Shut up. It's called character. It's called illegible. Excuse you. This is the handwriting of a visionary. More like a chicken. I finally glanced up at him. He was leaning against the wall, arms crossed, watching me with that infuriating calm that had once driven me insane. Now, well, it still drove me insane, but in an entirely different way. You know, most bodyguards don't insult their boss's handwriting, I said, tapping the pen against my lips. He raised an eyebrow. Most heirs don't ask their bodyguards for honest opinions. I sighed, slumping back in the chair. The papers blurred in front of me, and for a moment, my mind drifted back to the crowded market stalls, the sweat, the hunger in people's eyes, the sound of children laughing even though they had nothing, the way I'd once sneered at people like them, as if they were props in my perfect little kingdom. Never again. I'm not going to be like him, I muttered. Kai tilted his head. Like who? My father. He rules with money and fear. He thinks respect can be bought. I thought that too. But he's wrong. The words tasted bitter. I looked at Kai. I want to do better. For the first time, his calm cracked. Just a little. His lips curved into a smile. Not mocking, not guarded. Just proud. And for some reason, that was worth more than any empire. Later, when the work was done, I wandered out into the garden. The air was thick with summer, cicadas buzzing in the trees. I stretched, letting the sunlight warm my face. Kai followed, of course. He always did. You're staring again, I said without opening my eyes. Maybe. I cracked one eye open. He was standing a few feet away, posture relaxed, gaze steady on me. What, you like what you see? I smirked. He didn't flinch. I do. My smirk faltered. Heat crawled up my neck, and I quickly looked away. You're supposed to deny it, you idiot. Why not? He asked, stepping closer. My heart tripped over itself. The sunlight suddenly felt too hot. I swallowed hard, glaring at him. Because it makes me... I cut myself off. Vulnerable? He finished. I hated how well he knew me. I hated it. I loved it. I turned away, stuffing my hands in my pockets. I'm still a brat, you know? I know. I'll probably still throw tantrums. I know. And I might scream at you in public. I know. I finally looked back at him. He was right there, close enough that the air between us felt charged. And you'll still stay? I asked softer than I meant to. His answer was immediate. Always. Something inside me broke and mended all at once. Before I could lose my nerve, I grabbed his collar and pulled him down into a kiss. It wasn't desperate like before. It wasn't clumsy or panicked. It was steady, certain. The kind of kiss that said, I choose you. Not because I'm forced. Not because I'm lost. Because I want to. When we finally pulled apart, I was breathless. You know, I said, this whole soul-swapping curse thing turned out pretty well for me. Kai raised an eyebrow. Pretty well. Yeah, I got to bully you, steal your body, and then kiss you into submission. Twice. I smiled. He chuckled, low and warm. Rio. What? His eyes softened. You've already submitted. You just don't realize it yet. I opened my mouth to argue, then stopped. Because he was right. And for once in my life, I didn't mind losing. Not if it was to him.